our next speaker, Paul Karasik. I had the immense pleasure to travel Canada with Paul. We did a roadshow. I met many of you at that roadshow, but we traveled from the West Coast to the East Coast. I got to see almost every province in Canada, which as a kid growing up in Canada, I never had the opportunity to do. It was amazing. Paul has some incredible stories. His life is pretty amazing. It was great listening to these stories. Most of them I cannot repeat on this stage, but it was pretty amazing. He's a great connoisseur of food. He eats very healthy. I do not. So I said, Paul, I'm going to go where you take me. And we did this thing called vegan. I had never really partook in a vegan meal, but I got to tell you, it was amazing. Every city we went to, we would try these vegan places. I would, the dish would come and I'd say, Paul, what the heck is that? He said, well, that's a vegetable. Like, what planet? I've never heard of this stuff, right? But it was amazing. So we got to eat great food, got to hear great stories, learn more about Paul. Paul also is very passionate about what he does, and what he does in life is help advisors. He trains advisors. And he's a best-selling author, 8 best-selling books. He started writing books on seminars over 20 years ago. So he ties very, very well into what we're doing. I made a couple notes here on a couple things about Paul. Paul's the president of the Wholesaler Institute and Financial Advisor Coaching Institute. The one thing I love about this next story, this guy right here ran a marathon. It was one of his lifelong dreams. He ran a 100-mile marathon just recently. That's 160 kilometers. Like, that's crazy. I was out of breath going to my room on the 17th floor after I got off the elevator. And he ran 160 kilometers. I had my bag, so I was a little out of breath. But 160 kilometers, he did it in just over 23 hours. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Paul, wait. I got one more on here. Yes. Paul also achieved a lifelong goal. He was featured on PBS. They did a special on Paul's life and works. So he does a great presentation on how to double your income, and I think we all want to do that. So without further delay, I want to bring Paul Karasik, good friend.
Thank you, Jeff. All right. Okay, good group. Oh. Okay, what do we got here? Good year? So far? Good, I'm done. That's it. I've got 75 minutes with you guys. 75 minutes to present a challenge like Frank, and that was a wonderful presentation. Thank you, Frank. Beautiful. I'm challenged by the amount of what I want to share with you and the restraints of 75 minutes. But with that intact, I'm going to make this the best presentation I've ever made. Is that good?
That's excellent.
Okay. Now, it doesn't come without a deal. The deal is this. The deal is I make this the best presentation I've ever done. I've done a couple of these. But you have to take one thing that I say, and when you leave here, apply it. Can I get a yes? Yes. Can I get a big yes? Yes. All right. So I don't know what that thing's going to be, and I might even try to influence you, and I'll make some suggestions through the course of this couple minutes together, what that thing could be, but it's up to you to find that thing. That's the deal. So you're going to keep your side, right, Joe? Okay. I have a weird job. I have the ultimate codependency job there is, right? Helping you, like my happiness depends on your happiness, right? Like if you're not successful, or Frank's not right, it's a weird job, isn't it? Jeremiah, we have a weird, where's Jeremiah? It's a weird job, right? Because we're not successful. If they're not successful, so we're always in this kind of like codependency need. That being said, there are certain skill sets that have been shared with you here over the last couple of days, the last day and a half, that are absolutely the truth. And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you. I'll be sharing with you the laws of sales and marketing, because in my firm, we only do one thing. We help financial professionals sell and market more successfully. That's it. We only do one thing for one kind of person. That being said, we do it pretty good. When you only do one thing, you get good at it, right? And here's the thing. What I'll share with you will be laws. They're not up for grabs. They don't care what your opinion is. They don't care what my opinion is. But kind of like the law of gravity, you may not believe in it, but do not jump out of the 26th floor of this building. It will apply to you. Now, at times during this presentation, I'm going to share what's my opinion. And I'll say it's my opinion. So that's fair, right? I'll say this is not a law, but an opinion. This is what I believe. So that being said, where's my clicker? The clicker thing. Oh, great. Okay, thank you. So let's ask this question, because this is the question that I've asked my entire career for the last 20 or 25 years. My entire body of work stems from this very, very simple question. Why is it that 8 out of 10 professionals who want to become professionals in this business are out of the business within 18 months? That's the question. The question is, how come out of all the advisors that are out there, how come only a small percentage achieve the possibilities that this industry offers? I mean, think about it, right? As a financial advisor, unlimited potential. Nobody can tell you how much money you're going to make except you. That's pretty amazing. And yet, what we find out is that the wreckage in this industry is incomparable to almost any other industry. And again, having done it, having spent my career with you guys, I know that for a fact. In fact, let me put up what we call the sad slide. Jeff knows this slide real well. This is the sad slide. Let's look at this slide. Let's look at this slide, and let's look at that number, $48,704. And now imagine this. We're sitting at a banquet with every kind of food possible, with every possibility, with unlimited possibilities. Can I get a little something to eat here? Can I get $48,704? That's my sushi bill for a month in LA. This is not a career. Now, we did the roadshow. You know what was the sad thing about the roadshow? Is people would come up to me, advisors would come up to me after, and they would say, I'm that person. So this is not a made-up number. This is real. So what is it? How come we're sitting at a banquet with every kind of food possible, every kind of vegetable for us vegans, everything you ever want? Is it this thing? And we can't find a piece of food to eat. And yet there are people making $1 million and $2 million. You've met them, Frank. I've met them. We spent our life with these guys, right? How come? So let's answer this question. How come? How come? Okay, so there's no wrong answer here because you're, and by the way, I'm not going to teach you anything for the next 60 minutes or so, or 65, whatever we got. I'm going to remind you, so.
They don't get in front of people.
They don't get in front of people, absolutely. What else? Yeah?
Lack of hunger, and they don't want to get into uncomfortable positions.
They don't want to do the things it takes to be successful, absolutely. Implementation, execution, and what you're hearing about here today. What else? Yeah?
They don't work down the banquet table.
They don't?
They don't work down the banquet table. They only start there.
Right, and then, oh, I got a little food here, and then they're happy with that. Yeah, thank you, yeah.
You suck.
They suck. Leave those remarks for Frank. I'm not good with that stuff. He's the best. I love that.
There's no commitment to the process.
They what?
They don't commit to the process.
Okay, great. So we're hitting all the answers. Let me put them in my terms, but they're all the right answer. The first one, no sense of personal mission. What do I mean by that? Mission, vision, values, those are part of every business plan, but I'm talking about personal mission. So this is an opinion. I said I would tell you. Here's the opinion. Mission is why we are here. I'm not talking about the hotel in Toronto. Why are we here? Yeah. That top producers understand we are here to grow. We are here to learn. We are here to expand. We are here to have more, do more, and be more. And when we are in the have more, do more, be more mode, guess what happens? What happens to the way we feel? We are, come on. When you're growing, when you're making money, what are you? Happy. Think about all the times in your life when you were growing, when you were expanding, when you were becoming more, doing more, having more, being more. When you got that first job and you talked your way into it and then went, oh my God, I got the job. Now what do I do? Remember? Remember? Remember when you met that special person and your relationships expanded? Remember? And you thought, oh, I'm in love. Wow, this is something. Remember? Yeah. Remember when you brought the baby home? Oh, I remember. And by the way, I don't think having a baby is the mission. Right? But I brought the when you brought the baby home and you said, wait, yesterday there was 2, and now there's 3. Oh my God, what do you do? It's peeing and burping and, oh my God. Remember? Yeah, that's where the passion, that's where the excitement lives. So I'm with a top producer in Phoenix, and he shows me his hobby. What's his hobby? Collecting cars. And he walks me through his garage in Phoenix. Here's my vet, here's my thing. Now, I don't even like cars. Oh, it's beautiful, right? I'm walking through it. Does he need more money? No. No, he has a personal mission. And so I'm going to take this presentation to another level for you for a minute here. And I want you to ask yourself, what are the 5 structures of life that I'm ready to expand upon? Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and material. That's the structures of life. I'll say them again: mental, spiritual, physical, emotional, and material. And when you're expanding on any one of those levels, we are happy. Anybody ever climb a mountain? Anybody climb a mountain? How long did you train? If it was a decent mountain, how long did you train for it, John?
A year.
Right. And how long did the climb take?
7 days.
That's a big one, okay. Mine took a day. We trained for 6 months. You get to the top of the mountain, you eat an orange, and you go back down. Wait a minute, what's that? We trained for 6 months, because we understand it, right? It wasn't about the mountain. It was about the getting there. Right? So top producers have this. They also have this. They have vision. So people who fail in the industry lack vision. Because here's truth, not my opinion. Everything in life happens twice. First it happens here, and then it happens there. Yes or no? Yes. Everything in your life first happens with your vision. If you can't sit through this host university and say to yourself, I see myself as a successful financial advisor in the future, it doesn't matter who the speaker is and what you use, it will not happen. And so what I'm going to say, you're one to do that I want you to leave with here today, is to create your vision, to recreate your vision, to look at your vision, to revision your vision. Because check this out. One of my heroes said this. He said, logic will take you from A to B, but imagination will take you everywhere. Now, it's a great statement from a woo-woo guy like me who lives in California and eats fruits and nuts. It's another thing to hear it from probably, arguably, the greatest rational thinker that ever walked the face of the earth. Yes? So he's saying, no, it's not the numbers up on the board and the Goodwill Hunting thing with everything, with the numbers and the... No. I imagine this. that life is a creative process. It is not a logical process, and that's what you get from Frank, and that's what you get from every speaker. And so we have to ask ourselves, how does this play in? Well, there was no Amazon till Amazon was imagined. There was no Google till Google was imagined. And there is no Google. It's an imaginary entity. There's no host university. There's no White Glove. We make it up in our mind. It's an image. We think it's real. It's not real, because we've seen companies go with the stroke of a pen. So we know it's not real. Yes? So if I was going to say one thing, and you all vision, this is one of the most successful rooms in the world. You are in the 1% of the world in terms of lifestyle, intelligence, background, everything else that's just here. And now the question is, what is your vision? What is your vision for your future on any of those structures, more specifically, of course, business structure? And finally, the third one, which is constant in this business, is the concept of client acquisition systems. See, top producers, they know that they can't make money unless there's people to work with. They get it. They get it. They get it. So the key operative word here is systems. I need you to think like CEOs. I need you to think like business owners. I need you to think about marketing as not a one-shot thing. Anybody that wants to do White Glove and wants to do one, don't do it. Do not do it. It's a waste of time and energy. Do 3. That's a system. Test it, work with it, find out what works, find out what doesn't work, find out your story, your systems, your clothes, start to work on it, and now roll it. It's a system. That's what those guys do. So we're sitting around with my ex-wife. This is some years ago. We got divorced. We had a religious problem. I thought I was God, and she didn't. And I said, I used to play in a band. I still dabble in the music business, but I used to play in a band, Rolling Stones. I said, we haven't been to a concert in a long time. The Rolling Stones are coming to Los Angeles. Let's go see them. She says, great, let's go do it. So I take out a bank loan and buy a couple tickets and got good seats, right? Bonnie Raitt comes out, great set. Stones come out, it's wild, right? Mick Jagger's running across Dodger Stadium, the outfield, every song. This guy's in great shape. Keith Richards, of course, a different situation. What's keeping him upright? That's the question you keep asking yourself. Is his stick? How's he staying straight upright? But that's not the story. The story's about what happened. The story's about what happened because midway through this concert with the band, we used to do all Stones music, by the way, right? So I'm loving it. They do this. Dun 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 dun. Come on. I can't get now, right? Anybody know how old that song is? What year was it done? 63. How many years is that?
56 years.
Yeah. Now, you got to ask yourself, you mean in 56 years you couldn't get no satisfaction? With all your money, you're still smoking this and trying that, you still can't get none? No. Mick Jagger says he can't get none. He can't get none. He can't get none. And he's doing a 23-city tour in like 28 days. That's how desperate he is for satisfaction. Okay? Now the question is, why? Why and how? And here's why and how. We're walking back to the car, and Samantha turns to me, and she says, that was the best rock and roll show I've ever seen. You see? So Mick Jagger doesn't get tired. The Stones don't get tired. They have all the money in the world. Do they have to be on tour? I mean, let's Let's talk Turkey. Do they have, and I do cities, we did a tour, it's grueling, right? They're doing 20, I don't care if you're on a private jet and staying at the Ritz, right? Frankly, still, it all looks the same after a while, yes? Yes. Because they have a brand and they understand what their system is to keep their brand going. And that joy and that satisfaction that comes from performing is addictive. And they don't want to give it up. And they want to keep doing that thing that they know how to do, that gives joy and love and peace and all the good stuff that they want to put out. Right? So now I ask you, as a CEO, are you going to run a one-shot marketing system? No. I'm begging you, do not do one seminar with white glove. Please don't. Don't kid yourself. You're not there. You're not ready. You're not ready to be CEO. When you're CEO, come back. White glove will help you. You need a marketing department. That's what you need. You need a marketing department. And just remember those old films where the guy he'd get caught with speeding, and then the cop would be the judge and all that, and then he'd lock you up, and he'd be, yeah, I know it's all you. You're the marketing department, the sales guy, the advisor, but you got to have that concept, that vision of that's what I have, a continual system to bring people in the door. But if you're not hungry and you don't want to grow, this is just words that I'm saying to you right now. They have no meaning. They have no meaning. And I have to talk about that. And so when we look at this, we look at the funnel. Now, what is the funnel? The funnel is you know, I have a little bit of resentment when people talk bad about sales. Why? Because my entire family was built on sales. My father was a salesman. He died 81 years old on his way to a sales call. Yeah, you gotta love it. As they're shutting the coffin, I could have closed one more. I was this close, Shag. Right? Oh, my father was pissed. Yeah, he's having mother. Yeah. But his brothers were on sales. My mother was in sales. My sister was in sales. My two brother-in-laws were in sales. I was in sales. So when I speak about sales, I see it as a royal, an honorable, and that's why I've written 9 books, not 8, on how to do this correctly, and how to do it properly, and how to build relationships, and how to build real relationships that last forever. And you guys know I'm reminding you that you'll be there when the husband dies. You'll be at the funeral. You're an integral part of this relationship. You're not a service provider. You're touching the most intimate part of somebody's life, their money. You're a part of that. And so if you had one thing that I'd say, get a you know, I love these people get tattoos, right? I think the tattoo you should have is the one, the Chinese letter that says, I'm an idiot for getting this tattoo, is the one. And you can read it all the time. Put it right. But if I was going to get a tattoo, this is the tattoo I would say you should have. Doing seminars, qualifying them into appointments, and out comes the money. It's a machine, folks. It's a machine. I told Jeff, I will not take any coaching clients unless they do white glove. It's a decision I'm turning. It's true, because if you're not doing white glove, you're not serious. You're just not serious. There's part of you, you have a calling, but you're not ready. You're not ready. You need to hear the call. So, client acquisition systems, real brief review here. You've had a great discussion about a lot of this stuff already. Networking, oh, okay. You know, I mean, to me, going to a Chamber of Commerce dinner and like hoping that there's somebody, you know, like you turn to your right and it's somebody who can't speak English very well, and you go, okay, maybe on my left, and that person thinks it's an Amway meeting, and they wandered in, and it's like, what am I doing at this $40 rubber chicken lunch with these people? Like, did anybody ever have that experience, by the way, or is it just me? Yeah, like, so not for me. But people like trade shows, same kind of a thing, a little bit different. Referrals core to the business. It was discussed here over and over and over. It's not from your clients. What's the best source of referrals? Best, not your clients. Who's the best, the real lucrative source? That's right. Accountants and other professionals, CAs, estate planning lawyers, those are your best sources of referrals. That happens. But it's definitely, it should be core. Cold calling, I started in this industry many years ago. I used to lie saying I was in it more. Now I lie the other way, kind of like the age thing, right? And in the old days on Wall Street, cold calling is the way you did business. And it was a simple system. 350 calls, 20 contacts, 3 pieces of business, and after about 18 months, you were making about $1 million. That's what it was like. And the kid from Brooklyn who was flipping pizzas in Brooklyn was making $1.25 flipping pizzas, now making $500,000 to $1 million. And it was all based on cold calling. It was all based on the nasty word now called scripts. I don't know why it's nasty. Back in those days, you couldn't even, they were kept in safes, in vaults, because that script meant you'd be making $1 million. And they didn't care, like the Stones. Do, 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 do. Never got tired. Do, 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 do. Never got tired. Do, do. Yeah. Just dial the phone. Do, do. Yeah. So if you don't systematize, like Google, like Intel, like any business, like this hotel, like the St. Regis, everything is systematized. The room looks the same. You walk in, it's beautiful, it's clean, it's right, it's systematized. What's your system? Next one. Acquire a practice. It works. There's no doubt about it. It works. It's great. It takes about a year. I've worked with advisors. We've gone through it. We've seen some, some dirty clothes and some dirty laundry, like when you buy a used car. But it works, no question about it. And of course, public relations, that's books, that's doing books. So we have a publishing company. We help advisors have their own books, also radio shows, that type of thing. And finally, seminars. Seminars are not new to me. I wrote the first book on the subject, published by Bloomberg Press in 1998. Yeah, I've been doing this for a while. I could proceed to write 3 more books. Why? As a consultant, we have a very simple thing. We ask people questions, and then we provide solutions. It's a simple model. So I would ask top producers back in those days, how did you build your multi-million-dollar practice? And almost all of them said back then, remember, Frank? Why we used to see each other at Merrill meetings back then. They'd say seminars. I went, wow, seminars. Great, you walk in, you do a little talk, and that's how you build $1 million practice. So I began to say, well, what's the best practices? And I began to codify them and produce them and help the companies build their businesses based on seminars. I thought it was the best, most efficient way, and today I think it's the only way that we should consider. Ameriprise during those years came out, and folks here know Ameriprise, and they said, we will accept no prospecting. And we want no, and there's 4,000 advisors, we want no Ameriprise advisors getting any clients except through seminars. I went, wow, they get it. The whole company has abandoned all forms of marketing except for seminars. And that was pretty good indication we were on the right page. Seminar marketing, I don't want to just waste the time, you guys get it. No selling, it positions you as the expert, targets ideal clients, and prospects, automatic qualifying. These are people that are saying, I have a problem. Remember Glenn Ross, the movie? If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's great. He sits down at the bar and he starts pitching. But how many pitches do you have to do to find somebody that's really qualified, right? With seminars, they're saying, I have a problem. I need help. That's like for qualifying, it doesn't get any better. That's it. You got the best way. Fastest way to fill the funnel. If you're new to the business, I love that young guy yesterday. Who is he? The 24-year-old? Oh my God, was he? Oh, let's package him, man. He was wonderful. It's fun, but what I like best, it's predictable. My dad used to teach me things like this growing up. He'd say, son, you got to believe. You got to believe 100% in yourself. You got to believe 100% in your company. You got to believe 100% in your products and services. And when you go out the door in the morning, son, sell yourself first. Sell your company second, and your products and services are going to sell themselves. And that's what he told me. And that influenced my thinking. And I was dabbling in the music business, and he kind of knew the future. And he said, you know, just remember one thing. If you learn how to sell, you'll never have to worry about making a living. And I thought, wow. Talk about insurance policies. Hey, Dan, that was an insurance policy. He handed it to me, and I said, I'll do that, Pop. I'll learn how to sell. That's what I said. Because I thought, wow, yeah, who knows? And plus, I may want to sell my music, and I may want to sell all this other stuff. So selling would be a great thing. And if I have two beautiful daughters today, and I think about the one skill that I would want for them, if I just had one wish that they'd be good at, it would be communication. It would be communication. That's the skill set that creates all of our great relationships and all the great results we achieve in life. And so begin to look at that. I want to mention something that's not up here. This is my opinion. I believe within every human being there is a desire to help other people. I believe at the seed of every human heart is an understanding that we are one family and that you and I are connected. I understand that. And then when I educate and I help others, that I am achieving something that's very rewarding. And I'm saying that to you from personal experience right now, obviously. That it can't be bought with money. When you educate, when you help people, and Frank, that was the best part of your presentation for me. When you pounded that home, you got to be passionate. You got to care. You got to care about these people. And I don't care. You could do anything. You could do everything Frank does, everything I said, everything Jeremiah says. But what you cannot fake is caring. Caring. And when I do leadership events, God, if a leader just would care, there would be a better leader. If they really could make others care, they'll be the best leader. That's the secret to leadership. And so when I say, what's the advantages of seminar marketing, I go to the heart of it, because I know what it's meant for me, to be able to help people. And that's the added benefit. And so results, they're always the same. They were this way in 1999 when I wrote my first book on seminar selling. They're the same today. This is bankable. That was the great thing that my father gave me, was that insurance policy. He said, son, if you just make calls, if you just learn how to communicate better, the money's going to come in. If you just start doing seminars and you show you care and you're knowledgeable, the money's going to come in at about this rate. Don't do anything stupid. That's all. That's the bottom line. 40 to 60% of participants will come in for appointments, and 40 to 60% will close on business. Now, out of that percentage, some are going to be really great stuff. Some not so much. It's a different issue. We won't talk about that. But the truth is, every seminar you do, you're going to get one or two really great clients that you can count on. It's math. Isn't that a good news thing? Isn't that great? I mean, watching those kids from Brooklyn, 300, they were so cute too. I mean, they weren't the smartest kids. They'd go out, they'd take the securities test like 8 times. You can do it this, they'd go over. Tony, you can do it, man. Come on, you can do it. But they made $1 million. So this is the core. Do you want this or not? That's the question. And if you do it as a system. Seminar challenges have been, up till this point, before White Glove, filling the seats, the financial risk, the time and the venue, the confirmation, you need a staff, and of course, implementing best practices. These challenges have been basically all taken care of by White Glove for you. And so, how I met White Glove is an important part of this presentation. I always ask the question, when somebody attends an event, who is the best speaker? Or what was the best takeaway? That's my question. It's an obsession of mine. So a friend of mine attended an insurance conference, and I said, who is the best speaker? or best presentation or best takeaway? And he said, no, it was one of the vendors. And I said, a vendor? That doesn't make sense. He goes, yeah, this thing called White Glove. And I said, tell me about it. He said, well, they'll fill the seats. You only pay for results. They're half the price when you do of the way we used to do it. There's no risk. They take all the risk. I said, Joe, it's a racket. You know, it's a racket. I'm from New York, man. It's a racket. So I said, who do you talk to? Oh, this is girl Elizabeth. I talk to Elizabeth. You know Elizabeth, right? So I get on, what's the number? I call Elizabeth. White Glove. Yeah, a friend of mine just went to one of your things and said it was really good. What do you do? She said, well, we fill the seats, doesn't cost any money, only pay for what you get, we take care of all the things, you got a system, you just do what you do, we'll take care of what we do. I said, come on, it's a racket. She said, well, come and visit. So I flew up to Birmingham, Michigan. This is all true. Met with Jeff Grail. Jeff walks me around. It's this amazing place. Like if I was going to have a business, I would have that with the dogs and the baby and it's like that's what I want, right? I'm from California, remember? I said, this is great. This is great. It's no racket. I said, this is the real deal. And the people were honest and they were forthright, and it was started by financial advisors. Those are my people. And I loved everything about it. And I said, I want to help because this is going to manifest my vision that I had in 1998, that this is the way advisors should be doing things. So we've been riding the range. Canada's kind of my second home, so it's been great up here and bringing this message. I want to talk about something that's equally important. And that's the inner part of this business. Here's what I found. I found that I could teach seminars to advisor A, teach them exactly what to do Frank Mazzelli as good as Frank Mazzelli. I could give them every word to say. I could give them all the right slides. And they could have massive success. And I go to advisor B, and I give them all the techniques and all the strategies and all the way they do it, and the right slides and the right presentations, and they have massive failure. Now this happened over and over. Yes, Frank? Yeah. Over and over and over in my career, and I began to say, wait a minute, I'm the ultimate codependent, remember? If you're not successful, I'm not. I only could build a career based on success. It can't be this, it's got to be real result. And I say, what's going on here? Because I am not being successful with this whole advisor B group. And I realized that there was an invisible, attitudinal, mental mindset that was needed. That if an advisor doesn't have that, they can only create limited success. And I avoided this topic for many years. But I realized that it was time to address it. And I made a commitment to say every presentation I ever make, in any coaching program, in any presentation like this, that I will share with you these key elements to your success. Because if you ignore them, you will be part of advisor B group, which it doesn't matter what white glove you use, it won't matter. The first one is passion. It was mentioned quite a few times. It's hard to avoid it. And let me repeat and remind you, sales are made for emotional reasons and justified with logic. Sales is the transference of an emotion. When you feel good about making a decision, I'm going to simplify the emotional content. When you are comfortable, when you feel good about making a decision, that's when you make the decision. So for example, have you ever bought something for more money knowing you could get it cheaper somewhere else? Show of hands. Yeah. Now we all pride ourselves on getting a bargain. We all pride ourselves in saving a couple dollars. It's just part of human nature. And yet you all admit that you've consistently made decisions that had nothing to do with the price, knowing you could get it cheaper somewhere else, because that's how we make decisions. When we feel like making decisions. Now, it's justified with logic. So to build trust, that we're knowledgeable, we know what we're doing, we have great insights, of course. But I've never met an advisor who didn't have that, ever. Just to pass your tests, you have to have that. Plus all the other work you do. So what are you missing is that. Now, if I was a painter and I was given these walls to paint, and I had a bucket of paint and a brush and the walls to paint, would the walls care, would the paint care, would the brush care about my attitude? What, Don? Would it? Yes or no? No. And at the end of the day, if the paint was on the walls correctly, would I get paid? Yes or no? Yes. Now, that's not your job. If you wake up in the morning and you have an appointment with a prospect who attended a white glove seminar and you're in a kind of Mike Tyson mood. Now, for those of you who don't follow sports, Mike Tyson is a guy who bit a guy's ear off in a ring. Is that a good day to see a prospect? No. Is that a good day to see a client? No, that's a good day to call your mother. It's a good day to watch a TED Talk. It's a good day to call somebody that really loves you and you love them. It's not a day to see a client, right? See, that's the part that they don't teach you. That's the part, they call it the soft skills, practice management. No, that's the only skill, as far as I'm concerned. The other stuff I can get on YouTube. No, it's your passion, it's your emotion, it's your desire to help people that makes the difference. And they get it, and you can't fake it. They know it, they feel it, it's real. It's, you know, they do it, that's what they do for a living. Second issue here is if sales is the transference of an emotion, there's a catch here. Oops. It's kind of like in the Bible, you know. Forgive those who trespass against us as we forgive. You remember that part? Yeah. It's like a tricky part, right? It's like, yeah, I'm going to get forgive, but oh, wow. Mm-hmm. So I've got to give an emotion, but I've got to have that emotion to give or I can't be successful. Damn it. So how do I stay in so-called state? I'm reading and I'm discovering, because again, this is my gig, right? How do I overcome this problem? And I discover through my readings, and they're all over the place. I mean, I really look for eclectic information. I discover a word called entrainment, discovered by a 16th century physicist, Christian Huygens. Christian Huygens discovered a phenomenon, an interesting phenomenon, that when two pendulums were swinging, after a period of time, the pendulums begin to swing together. Now, I'll say that again because it's a little bit, your rational mind's not really accepting it right now. Two pendulums, regardless of the weight and the length, after a period of time, begin to swing together. Now, science can't explain it, and if you don't believe me, write the word down, put it into YouTube, and you'll see 32 pendulums out of sync, and after about 4 minutes, 32 pendulums will begin to swing together. Now, we don't understand why this happens. We don't understand a lot of things. We don't understand what electricity is. We know how to make it, store it, transfer it, but we don't really know what it is. Love. We know when we got it, we know when we want it, we know when we need it, but what is it? Yeah, challenging. And so when we look at this concept, we have to say, well, our mind can't get it, but it's real. So they found thousands of examples when two frogs' hearts were taken out and put into petri dishes. After a period of time, the hearts begin to entrain with each other. And so I ask you, and I'm challenging you here today, what are you doing to entrain your life on any of those 5 structures, mental, spiritual, physical, emotional, or material? Who are you entraining with? The people in this room, there are people in this room that you can entrain with right now, before you leave this conference, that are winners, that get this stuff, that they get this stuff. Entrain with them. Now, well, I was thinking about trying one. Wait, Paul said don't try one. He said try 3, because you have to amortize results and work on your system. Who are you in training with? What movies are you watching? What TVs? 200 things on shows on the thing and not one thing to watch. A bloody thing here in a hospital. I don't want to watch hospital and guns and people shooting. What's this, NCI, but the body on the thing. I was like, there was a game last night. I was like, yeah, you know, like, what are you in training with? Who? What books are you reading? Interesting thing, who is your coaches? Are you finding the coaches here? Because your coaches are part of it. And train with the best and you will be the best. Be exclusive. No. Mm-mm. No. That negative, no. Yeah. But I'm making who do I let in? Who do I let in? Am I choosing to entrain with? I wrote a little book called Brilliant Thoughts. It was interesting because it was for the PBS thing, and I'd read all these. They said, well, you got to do a book that's for everybody. All your books are on management and sales and all this other stuff. I said, well, I'll do a book of quotes. So I'd go into my basement, and I'd start to read these quotes, and I'd spend hours because they were fascinating. Jesus, Buddha, Goethe, all these great thinkers, Albert Schweitzer, people who said things at these very high levels. And the next morning, I'd wake up and go for my run, and I felt good. And I didn't know why. But why? Now I understand. Every night I was in training with the greatest minds in the world, and it was affecting me, you see. And so if you're looking to improve on any level, you have to say, when I grew up in sales, it was always hang out with the great closer. That was the way we were taught, right, John? Do you remember that stuff? Yeah, you hung with and you followed him. You did what he did, you said what he said, and you got the money that he got. That's how you did it. You didn't mess with it. It was always, don't. Yeah, we don't get tired of that. Don't, no. 63 years, no. Yeah. So I wanted to run the 100-mile race. Close with this story. And I looked around, and I said, I have to entrain. Training is going to be good. I need to train, but I need to entrain. So I went through my little grapevine of people that I knew in the running world, and I had been running marathons, and I'd done some 50-milers, but I found the 100-mile champion, a guy named Bernie Leopold from up northern California, had won the Western States, which is the 100-mile through 19,000 feet elevation, that type of thing, in his age group 3 times. I said, Bernie, would you be my coach? Because I knew I needed to entrain, not just train and train. What was his mental attitude winning a 100-mile race? What did it take internally for him to do that? I needed to entrain with that. He said, well, I'll train you. So I went out to Northern California, and I'd do these training runs with him. I was still living back east. And we 55-mile training run, 10,000, 12,000 feet. I'm dragging him. He's behind me. Run, run, run! I go, wait a minute, the German yelling at the Jew. Wasn't this a movie? I think it was something. It was a book, wasn't it? I think it was something like that. Oh, I got to hate him. Oh, I hated him. We'd go back to my building in Jersey, and I'd say, well, let's take the elevator. You don't take the elevator. You walk up. I said, we just did 28 miles, Bernie. You walk up. Okay. Of course, I finished the run 23 hours and 9 minutes. I'm tired. But I've got one call to make. Who is it to? To Bernie, yeah. So I dial up Bernie. I said, Bernie, I did it. 23 hours, 9 minutes. I finished in the top 10. Breaking 24 hours is considered a big thing in that weird world, by the way. You know what he said to me? You were lucky. Mother! I was lucky. 55-mile trainer, 350 milers to get ready. What are you talking about? Lucky, man. Then he said what I needed to hear. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. And with that, I went to sleep for about 3 days. And so I'm asking you and I'm challenging you. Who are you in training with? If you want to be a winner, then in train with, be exclusive and be very selective of who you let in and who you identify with. For that more be, more do, more have. And make a commitment. My favorite quote in the universe is this one. I say it every day, internally or to a group, for the last 20 years. Until one is committed, there's hesitancy. The chance to draw back. Always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there exists one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one commits oneself, then providence moves too. When I make a commitment here and I make a commitment here, it happens out there, yes? And all the chance meetings. Wow, Bill, I can't believe I run into you. I was just thinking about, we've got this new ETF that I wanted to. Or the phone rings. I can't believe. I'm looking at your number right now. Yes? Coincidence, no. Commitment, yes. He goes on, he says, a whole stream of events issues from the decision. He's talking about the decision to make a commitment, raising in one's favor all manner of meetings and incidents and material assistance which would never have come his way. In other words, you can't imagine how things are going to happen. You can only imagine what you want. Because if I say to you, how did you find this room today? How did you find White Glove? How did you find this industry? Did anybody go to school? Sue, what do you want? I want to be a nurse. Johnny, what do you want? What do you want? I want to be a teacher. What do you want to be? I want to sell insurance. No. But you had a commitment to find a business that nobody could put a cap on you and tell me how much you could earn. You had a business where you want to be your own boss, yes? You had a vision to work with people in a productive way, to help them in their lives. You had a vision to interact with highly skilled professionals. You had a very clear vision that manifested you in this room, and I manifested you in this room to be with me here today, and White Glove did too. We co-created this together. And now I'm asking you, and I want you to leave this room and I want you to leave this session when you go back to your office and just be clear with yourself. Be honest with yourself and say, I'm not committed to growing. I'm not committed to do more, be more, have more. I'm not committed to grow on a spiritual, physical, mental, emotional, or material level. I'm happy without growing. But if you're ready to grow, you have to make that mental commitment. You have to say, yes, I have the vision. And people, the ones who do, I was asked 2 or 3 times over the last day and a half, what's the ideal profile of somebody who wants to do this business? The only one thing is passion and hunger. That's the only element. Because everything else will be minor details. That's it. Just first seminar doesn't work, you got a second and a third coming, you'll get it. You'll get it. First one could be massively successful. That's the worst thing could happen to you, by the way, but it could happen. Make a commitment. I want to thank White Glove for giving me the opportunity to make my dream a reality, and that's to help you guys make more money. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. I mean that.